All right, good evening. I'd like to call the Zoning Board of Appeals for Tuesday, March 19th, 2024 to order. Will the city call the roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Defoe.
Here.
Mr. Friedman.
Here.
Mr. Rogers.
Here.
Ms. Libet.
Here.
Mr. Havas. Madam Chair, you have a quorum to conduct business.
Okay, thank you. Are there any communications?
None at this time.
Okay, so we will move into our public hearing. For those of you who haven't joined us before, let me briefly describe how we conduct business. The city will call the case by the case number, read us a brief description of the case. We ask the appellant to step forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, please, as well as signing in at the podium, and then explain to the board what you're asking for and why. Then the city will read findings of fact. We'll ask you to agree with those facts or add any other facts at that time. Then the city will read a recommendation. You'll have an opportunity to speak after then as well. Then we'll open up to public comment. So if you're here to speak on a case, that would be your opportunity to speak for anyone here from the public. Then we'll close public comment, turn it over to the board to discuss, make a decision, and then move on to any other cases. So will the city call the first case, please?
Yes, ma'am. Case 24-02, the appellant, Tom Pastolka, representing the owner, D Best LLC, is requesting the following from the board. A waiver of 24 feet of building setback from 10 Mile Road, 40 feet required, 16 feet proposed. A variance of 15 feet of rear yard building setback, 15 feet required, 0 proposed. The property is located at the southwest corner of Telegraph and 10 Mile Road, Sidwell parcel 2429227-001, located at 24960 Telegraph Road, zoned B3, general business. This appeal is to section 5.169, subsection 2, C3. Article 18, section 5.194, article 22, chapter 45, Southfield Code, more commonly known as the zoning ordinance.
Great, thank you. Is the appellant present? Yes. Hey, if you could step up to the microphone and each please state your name and address for the record, please.
Isan Jawad, 24960 Telegraph Road in Southfield.
Thank you.
Isam is my father. My name is Justin Jawad, 24960 Telegraph Road. And our architect, Tommy, had a family emergency, so he won't be joining us tonight.
Okay, so can you explain to us what you're asking for and why, please?
Definitely. We're asking for an addition to the existing building, I believe it's about 1,000 square feet, give or take. I forgot the exact numbers. Just to help us with our business as far as making it a better flow, giving us better opportunity to be more competitive in the area. We're just asking for a little bit more space into the building so that we could, be able to do more and be more competitive with ours.
Okay, thank you. Will the city read the findings of fact, please?
For ZBA case 24-02, the appellant, Tom Pastolka, representing the owner, D Best LLC, is requesting the following from the board. Variance of 24 feet of building setback from 10 Mile Road, 40 feet required, 16 feet proposed, and a variance of 15 feet of rear yard setback, 15 feet required, 0 feet proposed. Property is located at the southwest corner of Telegraph and 10 Mile Road, Sidwell parcel 2429227-001, located at 24960 Telegraph Road, zoned B3 general business. The subject property is developed with a Marathon gasoline station. Property to the north across 10 Mile Road is zoned B3 general business and is developed with a Happy's Pizza. The property to the south is zoned I-1 industrial and is developed with a Comerica Bank. Property to the east is zoned I-1 industrial and is developed with a retail strip center. Property to the west across Telegraph Road is zoned I-1 industrial and is developed with the Midas Auto Service Facility. The proposed site contains 0.76 acres of land with 249.87 feet of frontage on Telegraph Road and a depth of 192.5 feet along 10 Mile Road. Property was recently rezoned from I-1 industrial to B3 general business. Recently approved site plan reflects the construction of an 882 square foot building addition on the north side of the building. The approved elevations reflect a mix of stone, brick, and ephes. The rear yard setback of 0 feet proposed along the east property line for the approved building addition is the same as the existing portion of the building. The rear of the existing building and proposed addition abuts a driveway and blank windowless wall of the shopping center to the east. The proposed north side yard setback of 16 feet will be 21 feet closer to the property line abutting 10 Mile Road and will eliminate 2 parking spaces not needed to meet off-street parking requirements within the zoning ordinance. 10 Mile Road has a right-of-way width of 93 feet in this area. The north building elevation is and will continue to be screened by a buffer of mature plant material, including 2 deciduous trees, 9 evergreen shrubs, 5 deciduous shrubs, and perennials. The appellant is facing a hardship and practical difficulty in locating the building addition to the south or west of the existing building due to the need to maintain fuel truck maneuverability when delivering fuel on the south side of the building and placement of the existing canopy to the west of the existing building.
Okay, thank you. Do you agree with those facts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there any other facts that you'd like to add at this time? No? Okay. Will the city read the staff recommendation, please?
To approve the variances requested based upon the following. The variances requested will have minimal adverse effects on the surrounding properties, especially since the rear elevation of the proposed addition abuts a driveway and windowless wall of the shopping center to the east, and the north building elevation is buffered from 10 Mile Road by existing mature plant material. Further, 10 Mile Road has a substantial width of 93 feet in this area, therefore lessening the impact of the reduced building setback on the property to the north across 10 Mile Road. The appellant is facing hardship and practical difficulty in locating the building addition elsewhere on the site due to the need to maintain fuel truck maneuverability when delivering fuel and the placement of the existing pump canopy. The proposed building addition and variances requested are still in keeping with the spirit and intent of the zoning ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Anything else you'd like to add before we open public comment? Okay, sounds good. You can have a seat. If there's anybody from the public who wishes to speak on this case, now would be your opportunity to step forward and address the board with whatever your thoughts are. Okay, seeing none, we're going to close public comment and turn it over to the board. Mr. Rogers?
I have no problem with this.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Libet?
I have no problem with it either.
Okay, Mr. Friedman?
No issues with it?
I agree with my colleagues. I have no concern. It is a tight parcel, and so I understand making an addition would definitely be difficult. So, Mr. Rogers, will you make a motion for us?
Yes. In regards to ZBA case 24-02, the appellant, Tom Pastulka, representing the owner D-Best LLC, is requesting the following from the board. 1, a variance of 24 feet of building setback from 10 Mile Road, 40 feet required, 16 feet proposed. 2, a variance of 15 feet of rear yard building setback, 15 feet required, 0 feet proposed. Property is located at the southwest corner of Telegraph and 10 Mile Road, Sidwell parcel 2429227001, located at 24960 Telegraph Road, Zone B3 General Business. I make a motion to approve the variances requested based on the following. The variances requested will have minimal adverse effects on the surrounding properties, especially since the rear elevation of the proposed addition abuts a driveway and windowless wall of the shopping center to the east, and the north building elevation is buffered from 10 Mile Road by existing mature plant material. Further, 10 Mile Road has a substantial width of 93 feet, therefore lessening the impact of the reduced building setback on the property to the north across 10 Mile Road. The appellant is facing a hardship and practical difficulty in locating the building addition elsewhere on site due to the need to maintain fuel truck maneuverability when delivering fuel and the placement of the existing pump canopy. The proposed building addition and variances requested are still in keeping with the spirit and intent of the zoning ordinance.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Your request is granted. All right, thank you. Continue to work with the building department, I think, on whatever permits that you need to proceed. Okay?
As far as the,
Step up to the microphone, please.
sorry. So as far as the liquor license is concerned, just talk to them as far as when we could start selling spirits and stuff.
I don't know that we have any authority or
I'll
have any
speak with,
knowledge of the liquor license.
I'll speak with Terry and
Okay,
Thomas.
sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Have a
Thank you
good
for your
night.
time.
Yep. Okay, so that was our only hearing, so that closes our public hearing. And looks like we don't have any minutes to approve. So next on the agenda is discussion of upcoming meetings. Looks like we have a meeting in a couple weeks on April 2nd.
Yes, we have 2 cases on April 2nd. One is residential for a setback variance. The other is commercial for a parking space variance.
Okay, and then on the 16th, so 2 weeks later, I guess?
On the 16th, yep, so we have 4 commercial cases. 2 are for setbacks and a few other items, and then there are 2 sign variances.
Okay, sounds good. And then another discussion on training opportunities or requirements?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I may.
Yep,
The Director of the Department of Building and Safety, Engineering, Building Official, Planning and Zoning Department, and City Councilman Mr. Brightwell, boards and committees, discussed continuing education requirements for all ZBA members to allow those members to receive all information and updated continuing education available, and to provide those members with all necessary tools needed to perform their functions in an efficient and informed manner. The continuing education is provided through the Michigan Association of Planning and alike, and shall be required annually, either in person or virtual. Fees shall be paid by the City of Southfield through the Director of the Department of Building and Safety Engineering budget, and shall be approved in advance of said course by its director. It is the opinion of those described above that no more valuable tool is available than that which allows us to continue to learn at any time in the course of our lives. The ZBA should have all available current information to allow those members to keep current and hone the skills already in place. After consultation and confirmation with the City of Southfield Legal, ZBA approval, the requirement shall be added to the Rules of Procedure, Article 1, Organization, as an additional item and a revision. Albert Einstein said, to commit yourself to a lifelong learning, the most valuable asset you will ever have is your mind and what you put into it. This proposal is to be added as new business at the next ZBA regular meeting as an amendment in compliance with Article 6, Amendments Number 1.
okay. So I guess we have a request to make a amendment to our rules of procedures. Is that what it's
Correct.
called?
That's
Rules of
correct.
procedures, something like that. Okay. I guess discussion?
I would oppose any such amendment. I think we have 4 board members now, and adding additional requirements to what it takes to be a board member, I think would, if anything, make it harder. I appreciate the City of Southfield being willing to pay for training for us, and I think that the additional training might be very valuable and welcome, but I would oppose it being a requirement.
On an annual basis.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would appreciate it being available, but I'd strongly oppose it being a requirement. Well, what's involved?
I don't know, but whatever it is. But,
I mean, if it's just like a 2-hour seminar.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's 5 hours.
it's during the day.
Mhm. And it's 3 to 8 or something like that. Yeah.
If I may,
It's here.
the courses
This is it.
No, hold on.
are not 5 hours. Some are short.
Again,
Some can be.
whatever the requirements are, I personally would be glad to take courses like that if I was able to do it on my own time, virtually. If I had to attend something during the day,
No, most of these,
I understand, but I'm saying if there was a requirement that I attend something during the day, I would no longer be a member of this board.
oh, I understand, and
So-
I'm not
so-
here to debate or anything.
And again, whatever the requirements are, I would oppose to them being requirements rather than
Encouragements or recommendations.
recommendations, and the City of Southfield making those available to the board members. I would be strongly in favor of that, strongly opposed to making them any requirements of the board. We already have, seems an inability to fill out the board with the current.
Obligations.
Well, I appreciate your concerns, and I'll pass them along.
Any thoughts?
I personally don't have a problem going to a, continuing education for ZBA. Making it a requirement, I don't know, my legal counsel here says otherwise.
I'm saying even if we're all four of us, or four and a half of us,
The ghost.
able to do whatever the training is this year, I mean, if it's a requirement every year, we will lose a member because they couldn't,
And I'll tell you, when I first joined the board, I did attend a Michigan Association of Planning meeting in Lansing, and the city paid for it, and it was, remember, we used to get these booklets.
I
Do you remember the
read those. I used to read
booklets?
the booklets.
Yeah, we used to get these booklets that were given to the board members,
I learned about
and
it.
that's where, it would keep us up to date, and to me, that was continuing education, because it was keeping us up to date on zoning board cases around the state, and actually, probably during COVID, they probably stopped producing them. Maybe they're available electronically now. But that would also tell us about training opportunities.
Does this training opportunity only have to be in the form of in person?
No, some of those courses that we're referring to are provided by MAP virtual, online, and Michigan State, I believe, also offers those as well.
Yeah, again, I appreciate any ability to learn. I'd be glad to do any of those courses, but I do oppose it being a requirement for both the reason that I don't know when I would get to something like that, and in future years, I don't think we should be putting, restricting the who can be a board member when we can't seem to fill out the board how it is.
What was your motion again?
There was, I don't think you really, the recommendation from city council is that we amend our rules,
To say,
To add
to
a
require
requirement of
a-
continuing education.
right,
and how often would the continuing education be?
annually, I believe.
It sounded
That's
like you
what it
said
was.
5 hours annually.
This was proposed annually. However, once again, this is an item for discussion. Other cities do follow the same rules where they have continuing education, and it's some of them are for each term. In other words, for every 3 years that you serve, an additional update is required. It's not much different than the majority of these people in this room, as a matter of fact, have to every year do this.
I understand, we're volunteers.
Oh, I understand. I'm not here
Again,
to
it's-
fight about it, so.
Yeah, and I'm in my profession, very often, Michigan happens to be a state that doesn't, but almost all states require continuing education for attorneys to have a certain amount of hours. But again, the requirements are sometimes, even though they're sometimes small, they become onerous, somebody misses it. I have friends who have a hard time keeping their bride license because they got to get that done every year. And in Michigan, the attorneys very strongly opposed, again, the requirements that the lawyers, they put it in at a certain point about 15 years ago, and the lawyers balked because they put it in, they grandfathered all the old attorneys, and they put it on the new attorneys. But again, these requirements do become sometimes an issue. And again, if we're going to have a requirement that people do 5 hours of training, even once a term, if we're looking for a new board member, and we say, sure, you can be a board member, what do you have to do? Instead of just saying, we'll just come to the meetings, you have to go to 5 hours of training first. I think that would be problematic. And again, appreciate any training, would do any training, but I strongly oppose it being a requirement.
So what I'm thinking actually is that there's not a lot of change, and perhaps instead of it being yearly, it could be 3 years. I have a requirement to take continuing education as well in my profession. And sometimes it is about zoning. I think that if the city wants to offer this as an opportunity for us to learn and to keep abreast of things that may be changing, then I would be for it. But I think the opportunity should be one where we can do online, not just have to sit in a room with someone, because often, if we're sitting for 5 hours, we're not getting anything out of it anyway. So rather than having 5 hours every year, perhaps 5 hours every 2 or 3 years, unless there's some big change, I think we can come to some kind of reasonable negotiation. After all, yes, it's volunteer, but we still need to know what we're doing. We still have to understand what is going on. And when I had been on a zoning board of appeals in Kalamazoo, so I wasn't entirely new, but I still had to read the book that we got, and we didn't have any training, actually. So I don't think that there's anything wrong, or I wouldn't mind having to have some continuing ed, but to have it 5 hours in one place, because there are ways to get 1 hour here, 2 hours here, and self-study. And I think we're all able to self-study.
Well, that's what I mean, again, and I assume they're from the MAP. I'm not exactly sure where those publications were from, but those were very valuable. And that would have been like at least a 30-minute self-study every month, which would have been 6 hours a year, right?
Madam Chair, if I may? To Mr. Friedman's point, how do you recruit a new member? And when they get here, to Ms. Libet's point, how do they know what to do? I mean, are they offered any training at all?
I support any training being offered, any training being made available. I support all of that. And when I got here, I didn't know anything, and I had a lot of questions, and I stumbled through it. I read those newsletters that we got.
So you're okay with stumbling through?
I certainly am not okay with the requirement, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
I think we want a fifth member, and we don't have one.
Right.
And to add requirements to it,
Okay.
I just don't. I mean, again, I'm for the training. I'm an inquisitive person. I like to know the answers to some of these things, and I would read all these things, and I'm not against the training in any sense.
Okay.
I'm against putting requirements on further requirements on the board members that do this I mean, we get a certain amount per meeting, but it is, for the most part, a volunteer item, and we cannot get a fifth volunteer, so.
It's a stipend.
So, I mean, that's my only opposition. I'm not opposed to any learning or any of that. I support that. I support anything we could give a volunteer to do this, in terms of resources, for them to learn things. I'm not against anything.
Understood.
I'm just simply against it being a requirement.
Understood.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If I may. So without hearing from Mr. Rogers, so as the information that I'm going to pass along right now is, one, we have an objection, in part at least, for mandating. And the second question would be that it be per term as opposed to per year. Is that correct, Ms.
Yep, I think
Libet?
that's correct. And then I also think we should have the opportunity for a self-study,
Correct.
which is, learning on our own through
Correct.
the publications that the Michigan Association of Planners put out. And I would ask if you're receiving them, they used to be passed along to us. So if they're an electronic newsletter, if those could be passed along, again, they would highlight cases, ZBA cases mostly, some planning, but mostly like ZBA cases around the state and how they were decided, and some of them that were appealed, right? That's like very valuable information. We've been fortunate that our case, as long as I've been on the board, we've never had an appeal, to the circuit court, but it could. And that, I think where you do see other boards being appealed, there's value to learning there. So.
And that's true, and this, of course, is, I love the way this is working. It's actually a discussion rather than a nodding, so that this is good for everybody here. Some of the courses that are offered are updates on cases that have made a difference in different communities, which I personally believe is very important, so that we can have that as ammunition while we go through our daily processes. We can learn from other people's mistakes or other people's quandaries that they may have had in resolution to those. So I'm in agreement in that particular.
And I do think this board has often heavily relied on the staff, right? We've relied on the staff to know the ordinance, we've relied on the staff to know state statute. None of us, I think, have ever pretended to know more than the staff knows about the ordinance, the statute, what our authority is. But, you know, I mean, yes, it is always good to get education, but I think there's a variety of ways to get it. So, yeah. Anything else? Any other thoughts? No? Okay. Discussion closed? All right. Anything else? Any other miscellaneous? Nope. Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.